Um, so Nat, you will have read online as part of this session. We're keen to just really have a chat with you about, what's it been like? What do you think we're doing really well? What's been a great part of your experience so far, and what have you noticed that we might have some blind spots about, because we've been here obviously for a while. So that's the whole point of kind of fresh eyes. While you haven't been here for too long, we want to pick your brains before you become totally part of the furniture, which you pretty much are. So let's get in quick. Raj usually will ask you a few kind of bigger picture questions to get a sense of your understanding of the whole company and what we do and our purpose and all that kind of stuff. So
I'd love to just ask that, how you going? How you finding the first few weeks? I see you in the office, obviously, once in a while, but I don't think you and I have a lot of interaction through like work and projects. So how's it going?
It's going great. Loving it so far. I was just telling my friend, I was like, I don't know if this fresh eye session should go ahead. I don't have any suggestions, like big suggestions, because I'm generally the kind of person who always like looks at things and I'm like, oh, maybe this could be done different, and I'm sure there's always things that could be improved or tweaked or looked at, but I haven't so far been about anything like, oh well, that doesn't really make sense, or that's a bit kind of maybe not the best way to go about things. One thing I'll say is that I think I've learned so much more from 10 weeks at the Lumery than you get in a year from some other place, just by being around people and the teams that I have on my projects. And I think I'm fortunate that I have a couple of craft leaders on my project. So obviously get the attribution gal with her passion, and Dave just has this knack of explaining things to people like me that sort of makes sense.
That's cool. Did you say Dave? No, you said Dave.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's been really great, and also really, really enjoy how I was matched. Well, I don't know if it was intentional, but I feel like I'm really well matched with my people leader as well, because I think I'm getting support where I need, but also like a lot of independence.
Remind
but
me
in the
that.
right way. Sorry.
Cat.
Yeah. That's cool, Nat. I remember when we first hired you, and first looking at hiring you, and the feedback was just like, she is great. Just let's hire her straight away. Let's skip the rest of the process. She's amazing. I mean, we obviously went through the whole process, as we always do. But yeah, the feedback about you was just so good right from the start. And I remember looking at your HBDI profile and also thinking about Kat's HBDI profile, because you two are quite different, right? And I just remember thinking, this is cool. I think if you can get a really good relationship happening and good ways of working, what a great combination. So, and you in Melbourne, Kat up in Sydney, it's really cool to hear that obviously we're looking a lot at the moment around, and you'll get a survey about this in the next week or so. We're looking a lot at how are we going with having people distributed all over the place. So that's cool to hear that.
Well, yeah, and I think I passed this story on to you, Nat, that I ran into someone that Nat had worked with previously.
Oh, yeah.
Randomly in the Yarraville village. And was like, yeah, got yourself a rock star.
That's cool. How did you piece it together?
No, she just came up to me and decided to tell me that I'd known her for a long time.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen her for years. And so bumped into each other. She's like, hey.
So you weren't just in a cafe being like, do you know that? Do you know that? That's cool.
Yeah, it was
That's
cool. It was very cool. So you're loving the kind of the craft, right? The level of craft excellence and leadership. One of the things we talk a lot about is like learning and development. And when do you do learning and development, right? And it's interesting, kind of the comment that you just made around when your projects, because of the people you're surrounded by, you're finding that you're learning a lot and developing a lot, to use your term, right? You've learned what you would normally learn in a year in a 12-week period or whatever. Do you think that you need more time for learning outside of projects and outside of work? Would that be helpful to you? Would you prefer or like to have time to do more kind of open learning, i.e. not directly related to a customer or a project, just a topic and some time for that? Or are you finding learning through the projects is actually more beneficial for you?
For me, I think, it's probably different people, different preferences, right? But for me, I find that I probably, if I wanted more time outside of the project, it would probably have to be something like, let's say, I don't know, a focus, like a one-day workshop, or something that actually requires you to have a chunk of time. But other than that, I find that if I'm really busy on the projects, I'm one of those people who, like, you load me up with stuff and somehow I can get more done. But when I don't have that much to do, somehow you can stretch it out longer. So I think, obviously, I'm learning things within my craft, but then I love, people sharing articles in the articles channel. And then just like, I'm like, oh, I don't know this term, and looking it up, but it kind of flows naturally. So I don't think I would like more time to learn on like an average week. Maybe just like sometime here and there throughout the year.
What do you tell your friends that you do at the Lumery? What does the Lumery do?
The Lumery are your go-to if you have a complex problem that you want help untangling in the MarTech space.
That was pretty good.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That was pretty good. We've just come off the back of an offsite, Nat, where we've been thinking about these really big picture things. That was really good.
Yeah, I like it.
It's a observation and a question. So I'll make an observation and then it will be a question. I find that as a consultancy business, we obviously are best in class, and the craft leaders are amazing. What I find sometimes as a challenge is when you have, like your midweights or juniors. So I imagine there's, you bring a new account in and you start off with a bit of discovery where probably you'll have your senior people on. And then maybe you'll roll into like a longer term project where you might want to have midweight and junior people on. But I think where it becomes challenging is because then the client often will have an expectation of, like, I'm getting a Rolls Royce every second day. Whereas really you might not need a Rolls Royce because you're just not there yet. And I find that it's generally challenging, like where to kind of like resourcing midweights and juniors. But I think the Lumery does it pretty well. But kind of, how do you manage that with clients, and maybe educating them that just because this person is maybe like only 3 or 4 years experience, you'll still be getting what you need?
Yeah, it's a big question, right? So one, can a highly specialized niche services organization have juniors? Can it have juniors? The answer to that question is yes. But what did the juniors do versus what did the mids do versus what the seniors do? What did the leads do? Right? I think that's something we haven't probably yet completely nailed across the business. To your point, when a new customer comes in or a new project comes in, the immediate reaction is that the most experienced people need to be on it first, right? Why is that? that's because we haven't yet articulated the Lumery process that we follow over and over and over and over again. So anyone who's either been with us for 6 months or been with us for 5 years could follow a process to solve a problem. And we don't have a process, you rely on experience. And so the experienced people come in and they've got a bunch of experience in their back pocket, and then they just, they do stuff. And so we now, as we get to 80 to 100 to 150, our opportunity is to go, well, what is the Lumery way? What is the way that we solve really complex, hairy business problems, so that we can teach and we can educate and we can empower people, and they can feel really comfortable that with the appropriate process and the support of their leadership and their seniors and the whatever, they too can solve really complex business problems. The customer doesn't know, really. The customer doesn't know who's been here for 6 months or 2 years or 5 years. The only time they know is when we do an introduction and we go, oh, I've been with the Lumery and I've been here for 7 years. Like that's the only way they know. Other than that, it's all about how well is this person, delivering, right? How well is this person helping me solve this challenge I've got? And so, yeah, that's a long answer to a very complex question. But I think that is the next evolution of the Lumery. There will be a Lumery process that is really proven across the business. We can teach it, we can write about it, we can bring in juniors and mids, and their managers can also trust that there's this thing that they can teach, their teams.
How would you solve it now? What would you do?
I think it's really tricky. And to your earlier point, Raj, I think when you're very specialized, some teams probably cannot have juniors, because oftentimes they might just be stuck doing something that is just not helping them grow or improve. But I think as certain crafts and chapters grow, then you can have them. But I think defining a process, it's a really good approach rather than just relying on experience. I think a lot of companies, I've seen clients will have other suppliers, and there's often this idea that when you come on board as a client, it's excellent because I think they throw their best resources. Like this one branding agency that was a partner, and they're like amazing, they come up with your brand idea, and then you go into like a retainer or some kind of long-term project, and they'll have like a graphic designer running your Google ads. And that's not good. I don't think the Lumery is going down that track. So
no, 100%. And we hear the stories constantly, right, about our competitors, our friends, the other consultancies, and that's exactly what happens, right? The top tier talent are always there at the start, and they slowly, go back in the background, and you get the next set of talent, and they're not quite as experienced, and so they don't deliver the same sort of value. I do think we've got an opportunity where we can deliver the value and be really smart about how we construct teams. Like what, to your point, right? Like what parts of this project don't require a highly seasoned person to deliver, and actually it's not worth it for the customer, like from a cost perspective, for us to do that. But construct the team in an appropriate way that you've got the right level of leadership, seniority, whatever. And again, that does require a really, really solid process. Like, how do we solve this? How do we solve problems? Let's write it down and let's teach everyone.
2 minutes. What else, Nat? Anything else for us?
What else? Just you've assembled a really cool crew. It's it's great, when you're surrounded by smart people. And I love that when I come to Kat, I'm like, oh, this makes no sense to me. It's just always like, oh, let's figure this out. It's never like, oh God, I expected you to know this. Yeah.
I have one last question for you. What would you like to see in the office? How would you improve the office?
The office. Maybe. I don't know if there's enough lockers for everyone who wants them.
Oh, feels
but
like a
Yeah, probably get rid of the hot sauce cupboard and voila.
but
What?
maybe some of them are just not being used and no one knows.
No, 100%. They're probably locked and there's no one knows the combo.
Have you got a locker now? Do you have a locker? All right, I will find you a locker today and I will put your name on it with masking tape, okay?
Sounds good.
Because it's not a huge volume of people in the office every day, individuals can make a huge difference in terms of even just their volume, their style they bring in, whether they're more introverted or extroverted. So yeah, depending on who kind of rolls in, it can set the tone for the day. Yeah, it's really interesting. Okay, we're right on time. Thank you heaps for the conversation, Nat. And obviously this is a point in time we wanted to grab you and pick your brains, but not never the end of the conversation. So let's keep chatting as things pop up, as you saw in the scavenger hunt that you did ages ago now. Anytime you've got feedback and ideas and suggestions, we want to hear it. And I'll take a photo of your locker today and I might put some hot sauce in there for you.
There is a spare bottle of soy.
Woo! All right. Let's push it in.
See that.
See
Thank
ya.
you. Have a
Bye.
good day.
See ya.
Bye.